Welcome to Okayama and welcome to week 11 of this edition of Racebot TV Friday Prime Time. And welcome to the Global Mazda MX-5 Cup. Will Vincent, along with Connery Maddock here at Okayama, standard track conditions, we'll be doing 10 laps around this 11-corner racetrack in the heart of Japan. And well, Connery, this racetrack, it's going to be a close race for two reasons. Number one, because pretty much every single driver who's been on iRacing has at some point experienced this racetrack. But also, fixed setups, buddy.
Yep, fixed setups, a car track pairing, which for some people was the first ever car track pairing they have ever driven on this iRacing service. Personally, mine was the MX-5s at Lime Rock, but some people, their first ones are at Okayama. And, well, it's good to go back to our roots sometimes to show off what the racing is like in this sort of very, very, fast in terms of the laps that you have to do here. Only 10 laps, so it's an absolute sprint to the end. No pointing hanging around. These guys are going to go all out from the start.
Qualifying is underway as we speak right now. It's a small field, as is always the case here in these MX-5 races. Just 12 drivers will be participating here today. Drivers are just about completing their first lap. We'll get you some onboard footage in just one moment's time. Let's have a look by starting on board with the driver of David Piena Jimenez right now. Number 2 car working himself right now through Redmond corner, 180 degree left-hander, then into Hobbs, 180 degree right-hander. Lucas Poprara, first driver past the stripe, 1 minute 48.194. Times are coming slightly thicker, slightly faster right now. As they come past the start-finish line, what is Jimenez going to do? The answer is going to be up into first place for the moment there, Connery.
Yeah, and that is by 0.4 of a second as well. So David Peña definitely setting the pace out there in terms of qualifying. We still got a couple of cars to come and complete their first laps. Matthew Geddes here in the number 8 machine, heading his way out of the final corner down the main straight right now. And the start-finish line actually is going to be at the end of this straight here instead of at the start like in normal Formula 1 tracks. There he goes across the line. 47.7 is going to be good enough for 7th place.
Yeah, and 2 drivers haven't yet completed the lap. There is one of them. Number 4 machine. That is Christian Zielke there. As he now comes through, just a couple of corners left to go for him. As he, actually, no, he's not actually. He's just worked himself through Revolver down into Piper corner. Turn number 7. So we can get a look at his lap time here as he works himself underneath the small bridge and towards Redmond corner. Turn number 8. Drivers will be working themselves from their second laps. And for the likes of Alberto Segiova right now, he's just looking to try and make sure he carries as much momentum onto that second lap as possible.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, he is actually coming towards the end of his second lap. He has stayed out on track. So this lap will count for Segiova, number 1 machine, the highest rated driver in this field right now. He heads his way across line. Can he get pole position? And the answer to that one is going to be no.
Yeah, Christian Zielke there, 146.9, so that's what he's going to do. And there we can see for Segiova, still down in that second place. Have a look at the lap times, actually, for him. You can see his second lap was a 146.466, sorry, 146.564, sorry, 10th slower than his first effort there. And Jimenez has kind of noticed that, and he's pulled off the track. He thinks he's safe now for pole position.
Yeah, I think he is pretty safe. The only car that could potentially challenge right now, there's going to be one. Matthew Geddes heading his way out of the final corner. Can he improve on his 9th place? Yeah, with 47.7 last time by. What does he do this time? It's going to be a 47.8, so another 10th of a second slower. Seems to be the drop-off from the first lap onto the second lap. Well,
just kidding with you, Connery. I'm still here.
Wow, don't do that to me again.
It's right, though. Windows is saying it wants to restart. No, Windows, we'll do it another time, shall we?
Yes, we will, as the only drivers that out there on a potential lap right now. The number 4 of Christian Zilka here, heading his way through towards the final sector, heading through turn number 9 of Hobbs right now. He gets a big slide coming through there. Pretty much holds the slide all the way through the corner. That's not going to do any good for your lap times there, Christian, but he's probably not going to improve on 6th position as a result there.
No, he's not. And there is Zilka. He's now just going to work himself down towards the final corner, out the final corner. Let's see what he does past the start finish line. That's it. No one goes any faster. That is qualifying done and in the books, and that means we can show you your starting grid for here this evening at Okayama. David Pena Jimenez then, pole position 146.037. Alberto Sedjova in 2nd place. Then you got yourself the number 5 machine, Gianni Quintiliana in 3rd place, and Philippe Calderon in P number 4. Cycle back. There is a look at the remainder of your qualifying times here today. As we say, it's a small grid, just 12 drivers. We'll be starting at Okayama. What do we need to look for here, Connery, here today?
Yeah, since these cars, well, generally, they're the first cars that everyone in iRacing starts to drive, at least on the road side of things. Some of these guys may not be quite as experienced as we're perhaps used to seeing on broadcasted races. The splits are a little bit close together here, so we have a couple of drivers that could cause some issues, but we'll get ready for the race start now.
Yep. So drivers are going to be lined up now on that starting grid, getting ready to go racing here at Okayama. Week number 11 of 12 of RaceSpot TV primetime for this season. Next week, we head ourselves to the Brickyard, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The one time we go to Indianapolis, and I'm not there to be able to commentate. You know. We're just saying.
It's just a sad story, Will.
It is. Lights go on top of the gantry. Engines, get ready. It's Friday night prime time, and we are green for 10. Let's get them in towards turn number 1. Can they all make it through? For the time being, the answer is going to be yes. Through turn number 1 they come for the first time. Through turn number 2 for the first time. Nice start by all drivers there. They've all made it through the first handful of corners.
Yep, the only bit of side-by-side going on right now is Christian Zilka in the number 4 versus Geddes coming down in towards the hairpin for the first time. Zilka had a very, very terrible start, dropped him a couple of positions coming down towards turn number 1. He's looking to make those back relatively quickly as Geddes actually does get a slight run off the corner. They have to be careful they don't break themselves off this front pack too early, as Geddes is going to challenge on the back straight. Yeah,
there is Geddes. Now, the way this will work down into the hairpin, turn number 5, the outside line can actually work here. You just need to know how to do it. Although that time by, it didn't work there for Geddes. He will stay where he is for the time being, and that is down in P number 9 on track. Out front, however, it's a slightly different story because you've got yourself Jimenez leading the way right now by 0.4 of a second over Alberto. Oh, we got a crash.
Not quite a crash, but a little bit of a shunt coming down into turn number 8. That was Bioli heading his way into the back of the car ahead, Calderon. But the thing is, he's going side by side right now with John Cannon, as well as there's a little bit of barging there coming through the final couple of corners, but no cars with thermal damage.
Yes, bit of argy-bargy there. Iberia car, number 6 machine, and Bioli out the final corner underneath the bridge to start lap number 2 here. Live timing and scoring is available. Just visit racespot.tv/timing, as is of course the case on every race that we do. One thing I heard there, and one thing that will be a factor in this event, drivers hitting the limiter as they come down in towards turn number 1. It's a bit of a weird one here, Connery, in that as you come down into turn number 1, of course, you know, these cars, even if it wasn't fixed setup, it's a fixed engine, fixed gearbox, and that can make it sometimes interesting as to how these drivers attack the racetrack in terms of do they stay in one gear or do they shift up?
Yeah, definitely is an issue, and also it depends whether you're getting a slipstream from the car ahead or not, whether that's a bigger issue than it usually is as we head down the back straight for the second time. Here comes John Cannon on Bioli here for P number 5, heading their way down towards the right-hander. Challenge ahead of them as well. Calderon down the inside of Quintilier as well. Side by side they go through the hairpin corner, and still side by side coming up to Revolver and Piper, but Quintilier will defend and John Cannon will get past Bioli.
Yep, so two little moves there, all happening at the same time, and it all worked out well, as we're going to see side by side again. Number 6 machine, Bioli, he's going to try and work himself back down to the inside as they come through towards Redmond for the second time in this motor race. And, well, the inside line didn't really work. Now let's see what the outside line's going to do. We'll go on board then with that driver in P number 5 of John Cannon. Had to do a kind of double move there into the corner. I think he was worried about the fact that that inside line would have been taken away from him. But what this is doing, it is allowing your top 3 drivers now to pull away.
Yeah, that wasn't a second guess. That was actually a little bit of contact from Bioli from behind, but Bioli will have another chance around the outside this time at turn number 1. So Cannon's going to have to defend the inside line here, track out nicely if he can, and the car's not on the outside, but he has to abort tracking out because Bioli still has his car there. Bioli with the inside line, possibly for the left-hander, but he gets the door shut in his face.
Yeah, indeed so. So there is Bioli. We're back on board with him then, as we're already lap number 3 of 10 here in this motor race. And, well, Bioli just taking a bit easier there as they work themselves through turn number 4, Atwood curve. It's actually probably, I would say Atwood is the most important corner on this racetrack, but there's no time to talk about that because here comes Quintilier and Calderon once again. They're going side by side. We've also got more side-by-side behind. I almost thought we we're going to see 3 wide there in towards a hairpin. But now we've got ourselves Calderon versus Quintilier. Also, that Calderon now in P number 3, Quintilier down in P number 4.
Oh, it was so close coming down into the turn number 5 hairpin between Zilka and John Cannon, because Zilka went so deep on the brakes to get past Bioli. He almost ran himself into the back of John Cannon's car, so that one was very, very narrowly avoided, which explains the strange noise that I made as they head their way into Redmond and into Hobbs for the 3rd time now. And this pack hasn't really spread out. Apart from the top 2, the rest of this pack is still pretty much all together. Actually, our car turned around. That was Till Studka in the number 10.
Yeah, and he's now down at the rear of the field. There you can see him down in P number 12 as a consequence. Let's see if it's possible to get a replay. I'm not entirely sure if it is going to be, but we'll try our very hardest and least. We're on board of him right now in that number 10 machine. Down, he just loses it. That is a very silly solo spin there down into Redmond corner. Just caught a bit of white paint when he shouldn't have done so. Let's go back to your race lead, however. Jimenez versus the number 1 machine of Alberto Segovia right now. And these 2 drivers have now finally pulled out a lead, and that lead currently stands at 3 seconds over the rest of your field. So now it is a mano at the front, but we know how good Jimenez can be. We've seen him in this situation on prime time before, as we've got them. Look, already, Jimenez is saying, you know what, I'm going to take the defensive line. If you want my slipstream, you're going to have to come with me.
Meanwhile, the pair behind them are pretty much trying to do a NASCAR bump drafting down the back straight, as Quintilier didn't decide to go for the move on Calderon like he has done the past couple of laps coming down into the turn number 5 hairpin, just giving a little bit of a push down the straight to try and catch themselves back up towards your leader.
Yeah, and there is that driver in 3rd place, Felipe Calderon, right now running in that 3rd position. All drivers are still running, by the way, just to let you know. The main pack is going on from P3 all the way down. Actually, you say to about P number 9 right now. And one of those things when you're in this situation, oh, we've got an engine failure. I was worried about this before, and we've had an engine failure already here in this motor race. And that is the number 9 machine for Zachary Milne. And well, this is what I was talking about earlier. These guys are so close to the rev limiter that if you just miss a shift or you just shift down too early, kaboom.
Yeah, that was definitely a classic case of shifting down too early, which you can do in these Mazdas, and you can do very, very easily. I know I've done it before in these cars, so that driver will be heading his way down on towards lane. Zachary Milner not going to be continuing on for the rest of this race, as the battle between Calderon and Quintilier still very, very close indeed. I don't think they're concerned about your two leaders at this point. They think probably that they've gone too far away. They might as well just fight it out now.
Yeah, of course, some of us aren't even fast enough to hit a rev limiter or be able to shift down too early to, they're called will someone. I'm not quite sure, you only ever won a road race when it was actually on an oval by mistake, Your two race leaders are still going at it. P3, P4 looking to swap positions again. Quintilier versus Calderon. Quintilier looks as though he has himself the advantage, but look at that. They're all starting to play games. Let's go Talladega mode. Let's go bump drafting for a moment. Ooh. And there's the push. And that's going to push them a little bit wide as they come down into the hairpin turn number 5, but they all carry on.
Yeah, almost a little bit of a bump and run attempted by John Cannon there, but he's going to lose a position as a result. Calderon just goes wide, heading away through Revolver and Piper now, as these cars just sliding their way through the corners right now. They're just absolutely scrapping it out. Those two drivers at the front are way too far ahead. This is a battle for the final step. Yeah,
it is indeed. And any one of these drivers can still do so. As this race will continue, it will intensify. We have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drivers still in that mix. And again, at this stage, it's all about maneuvering yourself to the front of the train. And sometimes you got to be brave and make a couple of half moves and put people ahead of you. Just that'll sink a little bit, because these cars, because they are slow speed, let's not be, anything else about it. It is slow speed, and momentum is the key thing here. Actually, we're going to have a look on board with Calderon up to 107 miles an hour in towards turn number 1. Now, that is about 2/3 the speed of what a GT car can do into that first corner.
Yeah, but it doesn't make this fighting any less exciting, as in your second pack, the driver I'm keeping most of my attention towards is Zilka, because he's been going very, very deep on the brakes into pretty much every single braking zone. He's getting a little bit nervous, and I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to sling one down the inside, either here, which he gets very close to the back of John Cannon, there, just basically pushing him all the way through the corner. He's just fighting for that inside line coming off the corner. They will go 2x2 down the back straight. Will we see a 3 wide in this situation as they all file back in? What does Calderon do? He's going to give his man a little bit of a bump at the front there. Going to try maybe to go around the outside. Here comes John Cannon with the run as well. Does he stick it down the middle there? There's enough space, but a little bit too risky for lap number 6, as Quintilier will take the inside line.
Yeah, and Zilka used that as an opportunity there as well. He got a bit of draft from Quintilier as they headed themselves through the hairpin, and they almost make contact again. Zilka's going to be pushed just a little bit wide there as they work themselves through Revolver. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 drivers, all separated by pretty much nothing. They're all dancing right now as they're working themselves on lap number 6, the end of lap number 6 of 10 here in this event. The driver I'd have to say I'm most disappointed about is this one, the one in the number 6 machine, Brioli, who's fallen down into P7.
Yep, he has. He did qualify 5th and just dropped those couple of spots there. But you have to say, being at the tail end of the train isn't this too bad, as actually the 2 drivers ahead just dipped 2 tires into the grass there, into the dirt, in fact, into the gravel on the exit of that corner. Calderon has the run into turn number 1, but he's again going to back out of it. And John Cannon just, as a result, had a little bit of a look, but still not confident enough to sling one down the inside there. But I think we'll be seeing that on the last lap.
Yeah, indeed, sir. This last lap will be intense, of course. Official iRacing rules are in effect for this motor race, so things like incident points will potentially become a factor. Get too many of them and you will be disqualified from the motor race. Quintilier in 3rd place, Calderon in 4th, Cannon in 5th, Zilka 6th, and Brioli in 7th place right now. All drivers are still running. Zachary Milne has come on pit road. He's got himself some repairs done. He is back out on track. There is a look at your race lead, separated by 1/3 of a second. Behind there is the main pack that we've been spending our time talking about, and it is the car before. No, it's not. Let's go down the inside then. If you're on the 3 machine of Calderon, and he's going to make the move there in the hairpin, and he should have it covered off by the time they come down to Revolver. Indeed he does.
Yeah, John Cannon actually losing 2 positions, and that was a hopeful move down the inside for Zilka. I don't think he actually meant to actually sling one down the inside there. He just broke a little bit later than the rest of his competitors. John Cannon, while he was trying to file back in line, just kind of spooked Zilka, and he had to nowhere to go apart from the inside there, as they're still fighting on the live pictures here, heading their way through the final couple corners, through turn number 9 of Hobbs, and Zilka still trying to track onto the back of Quintilier, and Caldron still trying to get away. I don't think he's broken the draft, though.
No, he has not. Cauldron there, he did make that big move, as I say, down into the hairpin over Quintilier, was able to make it work for Revolver. That's what gave him the bit of separation, but it's not going to be enough as we now come down towards lap number 8 of this race even. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, still all there in the line. Let's talk very briefly, though, whilst we have the chance, about your 2 race leaders. Yimnes has led every lap here today. Sergeyova has tried to put the pressure on. Is this a waiting game, then, between the 2 Iberian drivers?
Yep, I think it's definitely a waiting game for Sergeyova. He's going to wait for that draft pass on the final lap coming down the back straight. Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean that you get the position at the end of the lap, but I think it's his best chance right now to do something about your race later.
Yep, so there are those 2 heading themselves down into hairpin once again. Behind Cauldron, Quintilier, dancing. The dance they've been doing all race long. It's like a high school prom going on right now. In towards hairpin again, around the outside. Tries Quintilier, but this will leave the door open for Christian Zilk right now. Into Revolver corner. Zilk just doesn't have the confidence on the outside. He actually needed to make that pass there, I would say, to set him up for the podium on the last lap, but he's now got another opportunity. We'll go on board. In fact, no, we're going to stay as we are for the time being, because around the outside will go Zeke. He's trying to make the move work on the outside. He cannot do it there for Redman. He has got a better run, though, into Hobbs, and this will give him the inside line for the next 2 corners. In fact, what you can do now is move Zook maybe up into second place. They're going to be side by side, but whilst they're doing this, they've almost lost the draft to Cauldron ahead of him. Zook does get himself up into 4th, but look at this. Again on the attack will be Quintilier as they'll come down in towards turn number 1. Let's go properly 3 wide for the first time today. 2 laps to go in this murder race. Last of the late breakers. Zilk will get it, and then Braioli looking to try and come back into play right now over the driver of Quintilier. Quintilier does, however, just about hold on to P5, but in that one sequence of corners, Zilk et al. Lost 1.2 seconds over Cauldron. It's all for nothing. Podium over, I would say, at this stage.
Well, fantastic stuff on this penultimate lap as Braioli was trying to defend from John Cannon coming down into the turn number 4 hairpin, and now for the second to last time they'll head down this back straight where the draft is oh so powerful. They're a little bit too strung out to perhaps make any move apart from John Cannon here. They all try to swerve, all try to break each other's draft. It's actually battle for the race lead right now. David Pena Jimenez versus Alberto Sergova. Sergova's going to have to make it around the outside at Revolver, but he's not going to be able to. Just a couple more opportunities for him to get himself past. Meanwhile, the pack has just safely got themselves through turn number 5.
Yeah, let's go on board and take you over for the moment then as they come down. 1 lap and 4 corners to go. Redman. And you can see all of a sudden that number 1 machine starting to get aggressive, breaking later into Redman. He's going to try and get on the power earlier through Hobbs. Into Mike Knight corner, turn number 10. Be careful, don't cut the curb too much. You can get a slowdown if you do so. Last corner, turn number 11. White flag is out then. 1 more lap to go here at Okayama. And from here on in, I would say anything can happen, Connery.
Yeah, that is the exact phrase I would use as well. So no opportunity for Sergova to get himself into P number 1 coming down to turn number 1. What about the pack behind? They are still a little bit too strung out to be fighting. So Caldron, he's lost his gap to the rest of the pack. Zilka is there and ready to pounce. He will have the draft advantage coming down the back straight. But let's look back towards your race lead. David Pena and Sergova, they'll be the first ones to hit the back straight here as they break down in towards turn number 4. And let's see who gets the best run.
Out of Atwood curve they'll come then for the final time in this murder race. It's now going to be a case of positioning. Will it be a draft? Will it be a late break? Will it just be an opportunistic move? At this stage, Jimenez knows that he's going to have to play the defensive card. Segiova going to look to the outside then. Can he outbrake on the outside? Clearly not, I was going to say, but he does brake so late into the hairpin, but it actually costs him just a little bit behind. We've got ourselves Zilka ahead of Coldron, or is it going to be? They've all got themselves back together. Zilke on the outside, into the inside, into the revolver, as they work themselves too wide into that corner, but now Coldron will have the inside into the next corner. It's all going on there for the final spot in your podium as they come underneath the television bridge there. But look at that one you've got for the moment. Zilke up into third place in this event, and he has charged through. Behind, you got yourself Quintilier and Brioli also going at it with now just 3 corners to go. But out front, David Piena Yunez will be your winner here today at Okayama. It was a fast race. It's been a hard race, but Yunez is your winner here this afternoon. Zilke will come home in third place. He leads that group to the flag, so it'll be Yunez, Segiova, and Christian Zook as your podium here today, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic 10 laps that we've just had. There's some amazing racecraft going on there. It was pretty firm in places, you know, a little bit of paint rubbing, shall we say, but all is fair in this type of racing as the rest of your runners head their way across the line. Everyone will finish on the lead lap here. Zachary Milner, after getting that bit of damage, gets the fast repair in the pits and comes home. MP number 12 still on the lead lap.
You finish on the lead lap. You finish on the lead lap. Everyone finishes on the lead lap here today on Racesport TV. Well, it was fast, but I tell you what, it was a fun race here today. David Pena Jimenez leads and wins. He leads every single lap. He gets pole position, gets the fastest lap to boot, the Triple Crown, finishing by just a shade over 3/4 of a second over Alberto Segiova in the number 1 machine. Iberia 1, Iberia 2. Christian Zilke then coming home in third place. Philippe Coldron in the 4th position. And then you've got yourself running at your top 5, Gianni Quintilier, in what had been a really close battle there in your top 5. P6, Julio Brizzoli. P number 7, John Cannon. Then you've got yourself Matthew Geddes, Timo Hayden, and then Lucas Popua rounding out your top 10. Last 2 drivers there up on your screen. We will take a break for a moment. We'll come back, talk about this weekend's worth of racing after these messages. You're watching Friday Night Primetime on Racespot TV. These are people that get it done for us here on RaceSpot TV. TV cameras by Istvan Balal's Track Cams for Gourmets. Find them on facebook.com/Track Cams. Andreas Werner and One Design to our overlay design or overlay animation and all the work that goes on behind the scenes on that. Simon Grossman and @engineer.in. And then live timing and scoring done by our friend over Nick Thissom with a live RaceSpot TV live timing app. Well, that was a fast one there today, Connery, but I tell you what, it was a fun one.
Oh yeah, that is what iRacing is all about, and what a great advert for the racing on the service that was. You know, car track pairing that everyone gets to try once they get a membership on the service, and you can get racing like that, and it happens more often than not as well. So it's absolutely brilliant. Well done to all the drivers, especially well done to David Pena for obviously winning, but everyone throughout this field was on their best behavior. They gave us a fantastic event.
There's a replay of the start then here in this event this evening. And the first thing that I was really surprised about was that everyone made it for the first lap.
Yeah, exactly. Even in the very, very high skill standard races like the iRacing Pro Series, for example, you tend to have one or two first lap instants that take out a couple of drivers. But with this, in one of the first series that iRacers get to drive in, apart from the rookie series, they all managed to get themselves cleanly through turn number one, kept that pack together, and has allowed for an absolutely awesome race to come out of it.
Well, let's think ahead. Let's think over to the Pro Series of road racing, because it will be taking place in the same country as where we are right now. It will take place at Suzuka Circuit, he says. And it will take place tomorrow here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live. And well, Connery, it's your time to be in the leader's chair for the next couple of races. What we have seen, though, in the last couple of rounds in the Pro Series of road racing is the fact that there's been two very big start crashes. One at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve and then one at Silverstone. Now, the one at Silverstone all started off with Riley Press and Sebastian Jobe. The one at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve as the cars head themselves down in towards turn number one. If you're going to have a start lap crash, Suzuka and Circuit of the Americas are two tracks that you circle if you're an engineer with worry signs all over it.
Yeah, and I think the trend will probably continue, unfortunately. You know, these races, so many drivers put so much on them, and to gain positions early on in the race is so valuable in terms of where you finish in the points, and sets you up for the rest of the race, the rest of the season. So we could see some fisticuffs on the start. But another important note I do want to bring up, though, for that race is that Frederick Rasmussen obviously won't be able to turn up to that race unless he is taking the sim rig with him to Abu Dhabi to compete, because he's competing in the Formula One esports event. So you could say then maybe the favourite would be Sebastian Jobe in that case. But as we've seen over the past couple of races, Jobe has been susceptible to these just little mistakes that steps his foot out of line, gets himself in a spin, and then he has to race for behind for the rest of the race. So this could be one race where a core sim racing driver does not take the race win.
Well, yeah, Sebastian Jobe at the last race, of course, at Silverstone, had an unforced error down into Club Corner, and that was really the end of his race. He ended up then getting too much heat into his tyres, down at the Abbey chicane, under pressure, lost it on corner exit, pretty much smashed into bridge.
Yeah, he did, and that, as you said, that was the end of his race. And luckily, for the first 6 weeks of the Pro Series, the drivers have one drop week to use. So luckily, Sebastian Jobe now has used that drop week, but now he can't really afford to make many more mistakes like that when we saw at Silverstone. Otherwise, he could be put at a points deficit. Yes, I still think he's going to get his pro license, but it'll be a little bit harder than otherwise would have been if he kept his nose clean.
Yeah, indeed. So also worth noting this weekend, we have got ourselves 3-hour race. The Racetrack Art 3 Hours of Zolder. That will be with myself and Rennie Chenoweth. That would also be on Saturday, 2:50 p.m. GMT. Rounding out our Saturday night coverage will be the Pro Mazda Championship. So if the Iron Bowl's not your thing, you can watch that one instead. And then, of course, Monday night, we see you again, Connery, alongside Linus and Rachel from Monday Night Skippies round number 11 at Alton Park. That's when you generally say something, Connery.
Generally, but never quite sure. But yes, Monday Night Skippies. I haven't been on the team for the past couple of weeks through other issues that I have to deal with, but I will be back for that one, for the penultimate race, and of course the final race of the season in the Monday Night Skippies. And if the past race broadcasts are anything to go by that I've looked at, things are looking very, very juicy for those last 2 rounds.
Oh, yes, indeed. So there's a lot to come on. And of course, the next time that we'll be on air for Friday Night Prime Time will be in 1 week's time. And I just feel as if I need to just play this.
Back home again in Indiana, and it seems that I can see the gleaming candlelight still burning bright through the sycamores for me. The new moon sends all its fragrance through the fields I used to roam. When I dream about the moonlight on the Wabash, how I long for my Indiana home.
Oh, yes. Connery, in 1 week's time, we round out our edition of Friday Night Primetime for this season. We head ourselves back to the Brickyard. We head ourselves to the Cathedral of Speed, known only as the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, for quite a little bit of a shortened race than we're usually used to seeing at the Brickyard. It's not a 500, but it's going to be absolutely amazing as you see those cars head 200 miles an hour plus through the corners with the walls only millimeters from them at times. It is really riveting stuff.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll see you for that in 1 week's time here on Racebot TV. Don't forget, keep up to date with what is going on. Visit us on social media, facebook.com/Racebot TV, on Twitter @Racebot TV. Find us on the official iRacing channel and on our own channel, Racebot TV, as well. That guy has been Connery Maddock. I have been Will Vinton, and we will talk to you all next time. Good night.